Good morning and welcome to today's meeting. Today we are going to look at a recap of what we have been doing. So we're looking at a recap of this week's work, and then you are mostly welcome. All right. We are going to look at, earlier on we spoke about what? The formation of rust. Okay. And we said rusting is a slow chemical reaction of iron, metal with oxygen and water. We also said a complex compound is formed as a result of the reaction that is between the metal, iron, metal, and oxygen and water. And then we also said that part of the compound formed is iron oxide. But you remember we were trying to look at the equation. So what is happening is that if an iron metal reacts with oxygen and water, well, first of all, iron hydroxide will be formed. And when iron hydroxide is formed, what happens is that the water will dry up. And when the water dries up, it will leave with what? Iron oxide. And then that is what we have. Okay, so rust is a form of corrosion. So we can prevent the formation of rust by painting or electroplating a product which contains what? Iron. Remember we said that. We can also go further to say that electroplating is the process of coating a metal object with a thin layer of another metal by means of electrolysis. All right. Okay, so I'm just trying to, okay. So we said rusting is a form of what? Corrosion. Just a moment. So we talk about rusting as being a form of what? Corrosion. Okay. And then we said rusting is a slow chemical reaction of iron metal with oxygen and water. And then we said a complex compound is formed as a result of what? The reaction. And what reaction are we talking about here? We are talking about iron metal reacting with oxygen and water. And then we said the part of the compound that is formed is called iron oxide. And remember, at the initial reaction, iron hydroxide is formed, And then when iron hydroxide is formed, later on the water will dry up, leaving what? Iron oxide. Rust is a form of what? Corrosion. We can prevent the formation of rust by painting or electroplating a product which contains iron. Then we said electroplating is a process of coating a metal object with a thin layer of another metal by means of what? Electrolysis. And then we said electrolysis is the process whereby iron or steel is dipped into a zinc base or chromium based solution through which an electric current is passed. All right. So we said when iron reacts with water and oxygen, it forms iron hydroxide. And when the hydroxide dries out, the water is lost and iron is formed. So that is rusting being formed. And then because rusting is a problem, we have to what? Solve that problem. And that leads us toward the prevention of rusting. So we said we can prevent rusting by painting iron because the layer of paint prevents water and oxygen from coming into contact with what? The iron. Okay. So, so we said electroplating is the process of coating a metal object with a thin layer of another metal by means of electrolysis. So now, just as when we paint iron with what? With a certain type of paint, which prevents that iron from reacting with water and oxygen. The same way when we electroplate, we are simply taking a metal that does not undergo rusting to what? To um, plate or to cover this metal that undergoes rusting. So at the end of the day, this metal does not even undergo rusting. So in a way, it prevents iron metal from rusting. So electrolysis is the process of dipping what? The iron or steel object in a zinc base or chromium based solution through which an electric current is passed. The zinc or chromium atoms are deposited on the surface of the iron or steel. Okay. Not only do painting and electroplating prevent rust reaction from occurring, they also improve the appearance of the object. So now what we are simply saying here also is that there are some metals that looks beautiful in the eye. So when you electroplate, what you are also doing, you are enhancing the value in terms of appearance of the object. So remember during the week, I told you that there are some objects, more especially the earrings or even rings of women. So most of the times you'll see that you have got gold, you have got some earrings or rings, even for men also, that are plated with what? Gold. So you have a low value metal in the form of a ring or earrings, and what they will do is that they will coat it with what? Gold. So when they coat it with gold, we know that gold doesn't rust easily. So at the end of the day, that low value metal is looking like a gold. So the appearance is enhanced. All right. Now, so you remember this exercise, this was on what? It was based on corrosion. So I want us to, we did it earlier. So just to keep us on track and to check whether we are understanding the concept of what? Corrosion. So before we continue to the next, I want you to answer these questions to check this where your understanding of what corrosion. And the point, question one, checkpoint is what is corrosion? You're getting 2 marks. And what conditions are required for the formation of rust on an iron object? Also 2 marks. And what are the 2 ways of preventing rust on an iron or steel object? And B, how does electroplating prevent rust on an iron object? Okay, so please send in your answers. Then we continue. I'm waiting for you, my dear learners. Send in your so I'm simply saying we have talked about what corrosion, and I want you to send in your answers for this exercise to see your understanding level or to check your understanding level. So once again, if you are doing if you are sending me your answers, please send them through send me private. I know you are busy typing at the moment, so please go ahead. So we are checking your understanding level, and the questions that is on screen is talking about corrosion and conditions required for the formation of rust or for corrosion to occur. And then checkpoint 2, we have basically looked at some ways of what preventing rust. So you need to write the two of them. And then we have also looked at what electroplating. How does electroplating prevent rust on an iron object? Also 2 marks. All right. So I'm waiting for you, my beautiful learners. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Amraha, please check your number, check your A. Rina, also check your answer. Very good. Clear. Rina and Amraha, check your definitions. Clear, your definition is okay. All right. Okay. So Amraha and Rina. Rina, please check your A. All right. Okay, I can see clear your number. Your 2A is also in. You are left with what 2B. All right. The rest of you should send in your thoughts. Renai, please check your definition for A, what is corrosion? And then Amraha as well. Your B is fine. Amraha, your B is fine. But your A, you need to check it. And also what? Uh, and also Tandy. Okay, I can see Amraha, your 2B. Fantastic, Cleo. That's good of you. Your answers are up to scratch, and that's good. Tandy, check your definition again. All right. Okay, so those of you who are here to send in your answers, please do. So Cleo, you have got total here. Looking at your submissions, you have got in terms of percentages is 100%. So let's continue. In the next minute, I'm waiting for my other learners to send in their answers. Send in your answers. Okay. Cleo, I sent you a private message. Your answers are good. So I was thinking of reading them before comparing, before moving to show you the answers. Is it fine? Cleo, I hope you are hearing me. All right. So I want to share what Cleo did. Yes, he's talking about, he says, 1A, corrosion is the gradual process which breaks down a material through a series of chemical reaction. All right. Now, that is correct. And what conditions are required? We have got oxygen and water, that's too much. And then 2, what are the 2 ways of preventing rust on an iron or metal sheet? So painting and galvanizing, that is correct. And how does electroplating prevent rust on an object? And then listening to the answer, he said, electroplating is coating a corrosive metal with a non-corrosive material, such as chromium. This prevents the rusting agents from meeting with the corrosive metal. Very good. All right. Okay, Tandy, that is correct. You have all right. So now let's continue. So I just sampled. Now perfect. So those of you, I said you should check your definition. You should look at it. Look at it now. So corrosion is the gradual destruction of material due to chemical reactions. Perfect. And what are the agents or factors? We're talking about water and oxygen. 1 mark each, that is 4. Then when we go to question 2 or checkpoint 2, we're saying what are the 2 ways of preventing rust on an iron or steel object? How does electroplating prevent rust on an iron object? Okay, so we have got painting, electroplating. We have also got galvanizing. Okay, so electroplating or galvanizing. Then B, or chromium. and so prevent the rust or oxidation process from occurring. So remember, anything that reacts with oxygen oxidizes, and the process is called oxidation. So when you see prevent the rust or oxidation process from occurring, yeah, you don't have to be a bit confused. Okay, so we have got also formats there. All right, so let's continue. Now more activities for you. So you remember this thing, we did it. So just to get your what, your understanding again. So we have got fill in the spaces. So unfortunately, we have got the words below it in the word box. So you just need to read through and then what, supply your answers. All right, and question two as well. So when ion react with what and what, it forms what? The spaces are there. When iron hydroxide dries out, the water is lost and what is formed? Something is missing there. And the chemical formula for the product of the reaction is dash. So please, okay, and when we go to two, you have got these sentences, they are not arranged in order. So there are the three processes of what electroplating. So you just need to rearrange them. So which one is the first, the second, and the third, and then it makes sense. All right, again, send in your answers. Let's go through and you send in your answers. And then I like the way my learners are doing it. So number one, you write one, and then the first empty space, you write the answer, followed by the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. All right, so that when I'm checking, it will be an easy passage. Okay, so I'm waiting. So since typing is a bit of a problem sometimes, so let's continue. So let's get going. All right. So if you are just joining us, we are on activity two. So you, you write it in order. One, then you give in the answers. When you are coming to two, you write two, and then you arrange them. I know you are typing, so and it takes slow sometimes, so I'm patiently waiting. All right, you're just sending your answers. All right. So Tando is, I can see Tando. I'm now waiting for Tandy, Cleo, Amraha, and Rina. So send in. All right. Yeah, keep me posted. Send in. Keep me posted. But if you are done with your number one, you can post it, or if you want to finish everything before you send it in, also there is no problem. Yes. But this is a very important component aspect, and we need to know it because it affects our daily activities in life. So in one way or the other, we will buy materials that are made up of iron, and then so we have to prevent them from what rusting. So you remember in our local places, sometimes you will find our people using oil to smear around a certain material or object. In fact, what they are doing, they are indirectly preventing what? Rusting. Because the oil will try to prevent the what? The agents or the factors that enhances or influences what? Um, rusting or corrosion. Okay. So please send in your answers. Send in your answers. Send in your answers. Send in your answers. I'm patiently waiting. Yes, the answers are coming in. I can see. Okay, so fine. Keep sending the answers. Let's keep sending them. Let's be fast, my dear learners. Okay. All right. Since we need to do more. Okay. So I will give you 1 more minute so that you send in your answers before we look at the corrections. Okay. Let's get going. Let's send in your answers. Okay. So let's check. I've been waiting. So you have to mark for yourself. So when ion react with water and oxygen, so you should have gotten this. I saw some of you. It forms iron hydroxide. Some of you said iron oxide. It forms iron hydroxide. And when the iron hydroxide dries out, the water is lost and iron oxide is formed. So this iron oxide is another what? Is another point. The chemical formula for the product of the reaction is what? FO2. So water, oxygen, iron hydroxide, iron oxide, and then the chemical formula or molecular formula for iron oxide is Fe2O3. Perfect. So this is what you should have said. And then if you got all the answers for task one, let me know. And then when we go to what? Task two, they gave us the sentences and we needed to what? Rearrange them to make a sense out of that. So the first one is an electric current is passed through a chromium-based solution. And then an iron object is dipped into the chromium-based solution. And the chromium atoms are deposited on the what? Iron object. Fantastic. So when this is done, the iron object will no longer be what? Will no longer experience or undergo what? Corrosion. So if you got this right, so you are perfectly correct and 3 marks there. All right. Then we also spoke about what balancing of equations, and we said what is a balanced chemical reaction. So we said an equation in which there is exactly the same number of atoms on the reactant side or left-hand side as the product side or right-hand side. In another way, we are simply saying that in the balanced equation, the number of atoms of reactants should be equal to the number of atoms of the product. Or another way is to say uh, the reactants on the left-hand side should be equal to the number of atoms on the left-hand side should be equal to what? Number of atoms on the right-hand side. Now, we always write the reactants on the left-hand side of the reaction arrow and the product on the right-hand side of the what reaction arrow. So a balanced equation has the same number of atoms on each side of the reaction arrow. So no atoms are lost or gained in a chemical reaction. They are just rearranged. This is called the law of conservation of matter. This is called the law of conservation of matter. All right, now let's go on. So let's check. Please check for me. Check point one. Check for me whether you understand what the balancing. So we have got two equations there, and we need to balance them. Yes, I'm waiting. Let's be fast. So we are talking of what? Balancing of equations. So the first one is talking about what? A metal reacting with oxygen to give you a metal oxide. But what kind of metal is it? It's sodium reacting with oxygen. And then we will get sodium oxide. So you need to balance it. First of all, you have to check. So we have got sodium atoms, one on the right hand side, we have got two, one on the left hand side, we have got two on the right hand side. Oxygen 2 on the left hand side, oxygen 1 on the right hand side. So what are you going to do? So it means it's not balanced. So you must make sure that everything is balanced. So similarly in B, we have got ammonia gas reacting with chlorine gas to give us what? Nitrogen gas, and then what? Hydrochloric. All right, so you have to check again. So on the left hand side, nitrogen is 1. On the right hand side, nitrogen is 2. On the right hand side, hydrogen is 3. Hydrogen is 1. On the left hand side, hydrogen is 3. On the left hand side, chlorine is 2. On the right hand side, chlorine is 1. So they are not balanced. Yes, so please send in your balance equations. I know you are still typing, but make it snappy. But make it snappy. All right, send in your answers, my dear learners. Yes, I can see they are coming in. Okay, you have done well, but remove the 2 from your what reactant side for oxygen. Remove the 2, and then you are fine. So rewrite it, Cleo. Rewrite it without the 2 in front of the oxygen. So rewrite it again, but what you have done, you are almost there. Rewrite it for me to see. Yeah, perfect, perfect. You have done well. That is the correct. So if you check now, oh no, that is crazy. Okay, crazy, you are fine there. Cleo, Cleo, I want you to rewrite. without fantastic, yes, you have heard me. So crazy, clue, your equation 1A, checkpoint 1A is completely balanced. Then move to B. Let's make it fast. So the two of you have got 3 marks there. So for sodium, for oxygen, I mean 2 marks for your reactants and 1 for the product. So let's get going for B. B is a bit tricky, but even A is also a kind of tricky, but you got it. So you can equally get B. So put your heads on the ground and then you're going to get this B. So take note what we are doing when you go to grade 10, 11, and 12, you will be seeing these equations in one way or the other. So you are now getting the basis or foundation, and then you shouldn't have a problem in terms of balancing equations. All right, Rina, send in your balancing. Amraha, Tando, also send in. Okay. All right. Let's be fast. If B is giving you a stress or is bothering you too much, just let me know. Okay. All right. Send in your answers. Send in your answers. So let me know if yes. Okay. It's like this. All right, this one is giving us a problem. Let me just roll over. Okay, so this is what we're supposed to do. Those of you who got A, you were perfectly correct. And then B, if you think that B is giving you a problem, quickly write this thing down. These are the coefficients. So ammonium gas, we write 2 here, 3 here. This one is already balanced. Then we write this. So if we check, nitrogen is 2 on the left hand side, is 2 on the right hand side. Now 2 times 3 will give me 6 for hydrogen. If I come here, 6 for hydrogen is balanced. Now let's look at chlorine. 3 times 2 will give me 6. Here 6 chlorine. So you see that is balanced. Okay. Our time is up, but I don't know whether my host will give me 2 more minutes for me to just run down. Okay, we also spoke about what reaction of metals with oxygen. So we said any metals react with oxygen to give you what? A metal oxide. All right. And then we said this is the general equation. The general equation is metal plus oxygen giving us metal oxide. And then we also looked at what? We said when magnesium react with oxygen, we get what? Magnesium oxide. And the process is the same thing as oxidation or combustion. Any substance that reacts with oxygen, we can simply term the process as being combustible or being oxidized. So, or oxidation or combustion. And then the time is up. We looked at this checkpoint assessment. Okay, we also looked at this one. Then we also looked at this one, the molecular formula. We also looked at this one. We did it yesterday. Okay, then these were the answers we got. All right. Okay, and then we also did one yesterday. All right, so and these were the answers. So we said magnesium plus oxygen will give us magnesium oxide. So when we look at the picture and we write, we realize that the equation was not balanced, and task 2 was the balancing aspect of that. Okay, then my lesson summary. So all what we have been talking about is what reactions of metals with oxygen. So even though we are looking at formation of rust, is still a reaction with what? Oxygen. So we have seen metals what? Reacting with oxygen, and specifically we saw what? Iron giving us iron react with oxygen to form iron oxide, magnesium to form magnesium oxide. And then we're saying metals of reaction of metals with oxygen during burning are called what? Or is called what? Combustion. We also looked at metals react with oxygen to form metal oxide. Then when we come back to the left-hand side, we also saw that we spoke about rusting, and we saying when iron react with oxygen and moisture, we form what? Rusting. I hope you are seeing these arrows. Okay, and this iron oxide contains what? This rust contains iron oxide. And then when we see that this rusting is an everyday problem, so it can be prevented. So how can we prevent it? By painting and coating. Then coating with metals. When we coat with metals, we can use zinc and we can use chromium to coat the metals. All right. It was nice having you around. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Um, enjoy the rest of your day and stay blessed and keep well. And then uh, see you next week if all things being equal. Bye and stay blessed. Today we are not playing Kahoot, so we're having a lot to run down, so probably next week.